Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MtG Traders. My name is Taryn, and let's talk Jeskai control. Yes, your eyes do not fail you. I am indeed an anime drawing. So this has been something I wanted to incorporate into my videos moving forward. I'll still be on camera for when I need to be, but I wanted to lean on scripted videos so that I'm not stuttering through content, not explaining interactions well enough, and, well, making sure I didn't have to edit my ramblings. Yes, there is a lot of that. But enough about that, let's get into the deck. Jeskai Control is a control deck built on the back of powerful planeswalkers, back-breaking spells, and supreme removal. Some of the best Standard has to offer. Let's get into it, starting with Planeswalkers. Yes, there are 0 creatures in this main board. You heard right. While blue and red does have quite a large swath of powerful creatures to choose from, we're not worried about winning the ground game on the first round. We want to play lockdown and tempo out our plays as aggressive as possible. This lockdown on our opponent means walkers like Chandra and Teferi will be able to take over the game and force a scoop in the mid to late game. Karn is here for that sweet card draw, and if you need an artifact creature to block a few hits. All 3 Planeswalkers cost a fair amount in tickets and bucks, but don't worry, they're worth every cent in value and threat imposed on the opponent. So what can we add alongside these Planeswalkers? Control spells. Syncopate being back in Standard is a sight for sore eyes. X and a blue counter target spell unless its controller pays X. If they do not, it's countered and exiled. Talk about superior tactics. This helps against early game threats like Adorned Pouncer and Earthshaker Kinra by countering and exiling them. It's also great against large threats or difficult to deal with creatures like Hazoret or Rekindling Phoenix. Approach of the Second Sun also suffers from this card as well, making sure they do not get the card back into their deck, but also not into their graveyard at all. It's replacing Censor in this list, and I'm glad it is. Abrade, Essence Scatter, and Harness Lightning all show their face here as well, being great creature removal on the field or in casting. Right now, Standard is one of 2 decks, creature focused or control, and in game 1 we have one side covered solidly. Abrade also gives us the upside of removing an opponent's artifacts as well. Godfrey's Gift is still kicking, so we'll be packing removal. Following up more removal is Disallow, a counter that can counter, well, basically everything. Another Mirror Planeswalker deck wanting to go off, Disallowed Activation, Spell, and much more. Disallow is easily the best counterspell in Standard at the moment, and it's not really close in solid ability. Glimmer of Genius is here for us to draw cards, and Settle the Wreckage is to slow down that creature strategy. We want to last to turn 5, 6, and 7. Settle helps us do that. Though I would say stray away from using Settle on turn 4 unless necessary. We don't want to give our opponent too much mana ramp if we can help it. Moving on to enchantments, we only have 2 cards. 2 Search for Azcanta and 4, yes 4, Cast Out. At the moment, the most expensive card in Standard is a non-land permanent named Karn. We cannot let Karn give our opponent free draws and value. Just like with Teferi or an opponent's Chandra or whatnot, we need to lock down those cards, and Cast Out does this at instant speed. Search is here for early game card filtering. If your opening 7 cards has Search in it, you'll likely come out on top. In the early game it's a filter, in the late game it's a counter fetcher. Search does so much for us that it's almost silly not to include it in control decks these days. But that does it for spells and planeswalkers. Going over the mana base looks something like this. 4 Aether Hub, 3 Inspiring Vantage, 4 Irrigated Farmlands, 4 Spirebluff Canal, 4 Sulphur Falls, 2 Plains, Islands, and Mountain each. That's 25 land in total. We need to hit a land every single turn, and this 3-color deck demands to have its needs met. There could be a possible Field of Ruin thrown into this list if you like, though I prefer to keep these 3-color lists to a smoother trajectory. But that's it for game 1. Let's move on to our sideboard to see what we can do against a mirror match or mid-game strategy. We've got 2 Magma Spray, 2 Silent Gravestone, 2 Essence Scatter, 2 Negate, 2 Forsake the Worldly, 3 Whirler Virtuoso, and 2 Torrential Gearhulk. The best part about this sideboard is that it can either enhance your creature-based hate deck, or side into a very powerful go-wide control deck. Magma Spray and Essence Scatter are great inclusions against the first deck, while Negate and Gearhulk play pivotal roles in a mirror match or mid-range match. If you notice, we have quite a bit of energy production running throughout the entire deck, and Whirler is here to take full advantage of that. Piling 1/1 flyers onto the battlefield against another token-heavy deck is great, but if the opponent has no flyers in their own deck, prepare for an army of flyers to overrun our opponent. Silent Gravestone and Forsake the Worldly do great jobs at keeping our opponent off their game plan. Whether Reanimation or Enchantment Lockdown, both do very well in tandem usually, and if you don't need Forsake the Worldly yet, you can cycle it away for another card. Overall, we want to play the game to strategy to our strengths, and every card here helps us do that. However, one card you could bring into the sideboard to combat control a bit more would be Nezahel Primal Tide. But it can't just be a dead card if you're playing up against black splash control. Vraska's Contempt hurts when you sink 7 mana into something. So let's go over the deck list here. On MtG Traders, if you wanted to purchase this, it's coming to a respectable 339 tickets. It's 537 bucks if you want to build this in paper. Karn, Teferi, and Chandra being the pricey cards on this list, with Gearhulks, Settle, and Search for Azcanta putting up good numbers as well. Overall, I really enjoyed this deck list. It's not like Jeskai Super Friends, and that we can't just bull bulldoze an opponent with value card after card, but we can keep to a patient strategy of playing good control and removal until our opponent is out of cards and we're ultimating a Planeswalker. But that's it for the deck list. Let me know what you think. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have any suggestions for it? Leave them in the comments down below. And if you want to catch matches in this deck, follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/superhinotama. I usually play MtG, but there are times I like getting in a game or two of Overwatch or Fortnite. But that does it for today's video, folks. Like the video if you like it, and let me know what decks you want me to cover next. This week isn't themed, but it might be the last week of standard decks. So if you want to see more standard decks, just let me know. That's it for me. Love you all. Peace.